Hello and welcome along to this UCAS International podcast with me, Robbie James. And in this episode, we're going to have things a little bit laid back. We, of course, have talked in previous episodes about things like visas and budgets and student finance, but this is going to be a little bit more about settling in to your life as an international student in the UK and also things like culture shock. So what little things might you have not been aware of before you came to the UK that might be worth thinking about? And to do that, I'm joined by two very special guests, a couple of international students. Firstly, all the way from the University of Surrey. Nice to see you, Anisu Magodi. Lovely to have you on the podcast. And also from Keele University, joined by Sesha Vijay Chandaran. Lovely to have you on the podcast as well. Welcome to you both. To kick things off, how long, Anisu, have you been studying in the UK and what are you studying?
I've been in the UK for just over a year now. I'm doing law, LLB, so yep.
Okay, good stuff. And as for you, Sesha?
This is my third year here. I'm doing chemistry and forensic science.
Okay, so we've got chemistry and forensic science and law. I immediately feel completely out of my depth. But good stuff, good. It's nice to have the IQ very much on that side of the table for this international podcast. Let's go right back to the start of your international journey. I want to talk about maybe that first moment where you got off the plane in the UK. Can you remember, Anisu, if you go back to that moment, what was the first thing that you thought, okay, here we go. This is the UK. This is it.
Right, so I think the first thing was it was a bit colder than back home. I just remember getting off.
And back home was where? We should
South Africa.
Yep, going to be a little colder.
Yeah, obviously, I landed, it must have been in September. It wasn't too cold, not as cold as it gets, but it was a bit cold. That was the first, I think, reality check that I was in the UK. I think the weather is just, it's a huge difference in terms of day-to-day life, what you can do, what you can wear as well. So that was probably, I realised I should have brought a slightly thicker jacket, actually.
Well, it's that difficult thing, isn't it? We've all been there. When you're going on holiday to a hot country, you think, oh yeah, but I'm leaving in January. I've got to put a big coat on to get to the airport. But once I get there, it's going to be shorts.
Yeah.
I also like the irony of the British thing is that we immediately just talk about the weather and you've just gone straight. You're clearly settling in because you're just straight into weather chat, which I love. Sesha, what about you? Stepping off that plane, first time. You come from Malaysia, right?
Yeah, true. So Malaysia, we have like a tropical climate. So coming here again, the weather, that was a big shock to me. It was quite cold, but not too bad for me. But when I turned to my mom, she was finding for a jacket. She was like, I can't take this anymore. I want to go back. And yeah, I was like, okay, not too bad, but I'll get used to it. I got on my jacket and I just looked up at the sky and why is it gray? I'm used to blue skies. Why is it gray? It's like, okay, let's go. And then checked in a hotel. And then I was like looking forward to go to my university because I'm going to be living on campus. So we had to like get our keys, settle in. I've packed like 8 big large suitcases.
8?
Yeah, 8 of them.
Okay.
From me, from my parents, they came to help me as well.
That's taking up that's half the plane.
Yeah, I think like it was a total of 90 kgs of things from Malaysia. Yeah.
Wow.
That's expensive.
True. So thank goodness they helped me. I wouldn't be able to carry it all by myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone could carry 8 suitcases. That's amazing. So that's interesting. You mentioned hotel there. So your first port of call was to go to a hotel so that you could were you there for a couple of days while you sorted everything out with the uni? How did that work?
Because when I went to university, they said that I only had 3 days to bring a visitor because my parents were coming with me as well. So we checked into a hotel first to get things sorted out. So in terms of our documents, in terms of our clothes and everything. And then I went to university the next day. So I just stayed a bit with my family for the night.
That must have been nice to sort of ease you in and have your family there. And be like, there's some normality. At least I'm around people who I know. Was that similar for you, Anisu, when you came over?
Yes, I came alone, but luckily I had some family around. So I had my aunt in London who helped me kind of settle in. But pretty much the same thing. Landed at Heathrow. Went to a hotel close to my uni. I was there for just one night, and then I moved in the following day. But yeah, it was quite smooth. To be fair, it was quite nothing complicated, nothing crazy.
And so that first week, how did that all pan out? I'm trying to think away from studying and away from getting ready for your course. What were the sort of the pillars of that first week that sort of you had to get in place to set you up for your time here in the UK, Anisu?
I think obviously was doing grocery shopping and kind of setting up my room. So looking for sheets. I had no sheets. I had no pillows. So I had to get my room sorted out. So that was the first thing.
So you have to immediately just think, right, where can I buy these things
Exactly.
from?
So it was just a matter of going into the high street, looking for bedding shop and just getting some stuff for the room. And then I had to get obviously stuff for the kitchen as well and for my bathroom. So that was the first thing. And then after that was grocery shopping. The rest of the week was honestly just about settling in and having fun. So freshers, parties, all that stuff, meeting people. I had a few things for my course. I had to go in and kind of attend some like mandatory lectures and all that stuff. But besides that, it was really just a big networking event of sorts. So yeah, that was it.
What about you, Sasha?
Mhm. For me, I was like, since it's the first time coming to UK after I was born in Malaysia, I was raised in Malaysia. The first time traveling across the globe for me. So I just wanted to like go out. I wanted to like see the place around from where my university is, and I was just trying to find out how to get around first because transportation is important as well. Yeah, so I don't really use like public transportation, so I had to know how to use it, how to get around, the routes as well, how to like drive in this place, like that. And yeah, just as you said, it's like settling in. What am I going to stay with? And I've brought all my plushies with me, so that helped as a pillow for me when I didn't have any sheets first. So in terms of like setting up my room, making sure it's like my comfort space, because I'm gonna be like on campus for the next few years. So setting it up and getting groceries, stocking my fridge. I had to label my name on my fridge space, cupboard
Yes.
space. People just come and smack the food in your place. Yeah. So and also all of their items. So it was kind of like
So just explain. So
mhm,
for people who don't know, that is how it works generally. If you're staying with fellow students in some
mhm.
accommodation, you will have a. It sounds a bit basic, but some people might not know.
Yeah.
You have a
Mhm.
fridge, and generally you will sort of section it out to
Yep.
sort of this is my
Mhm.
part, this is
Yep,
your bit,
Mhm.
correct.
etc. Is that
Yeah.
how that normally works?
Yeah, that's how it works in I think on campus or anywhere else. If
Mm.
you're like sharing a kitchen, because I had to share a kitchen and we had like 8 to 9 of us, and the space was quite limited. But we, of course, we can share it. So we had to like first label our name. So just get in first because they people like come in different times of the university. They're not sure of like where to go, what to do. So we just like labels our stuff first, and then we'll have like some flat meetings towards the end of the weekend. So that's where we like quite meet our flatmates, talk to them, get to know them.
Okay, not like a
Yeah.
formal meeting.
No, just flat meeting. They say it flat meeting. Like
Yeah.
they have like a resident advisor, so they'll come in, join, and like introduce us to our new flatmates, and then from there you can like find out where to party or like where to keep your things in the fridge. Yeah.
Two very different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, true.
Also, can I just say,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna put it out there. We go with flat chat. I think flat chat
Yeah,
sounds
that's
better.
fine.
Right,
Let's
yeah.
do a flat.
Yeah.
That's going in the
Mhm.
WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Flat chat is much better than flat
Yeah,
meeting.
that works.
Mhm.
One thing I noticed there from both of your answers was that you put a lot of importance on your room.
Mhm.
And when you think about it, I suppose that is the one sort of safe space that you can control, that one area of familiarity, because everything is so new, right? Not only studying at university, but also coming over to the UK in a completely different culture. That is your one opportunity, is your room, to make it sort of a normal space when everything
Mhm.
outside is maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I had a few posters that I came with as well to decorate the room.
What were the posters?
I had one of Lewis Hamilton.
Good.
Big F1 fan,
Good.
big Lewis Hamilton fan.
Nice.
I had some other posters as well, which I've now taken down because I've just kind of outgrown
Okay,
them.
let's keep that between us.
And then of course I had my flag, my South African flag, because that just kind of reminds me of home. Besides that, it was also just about kind of creating a space that felt safe, as you said. Just making it look a bit aesthetic as well, because you're studying in that space, you're living in that space, so just making sure it's conducive for both studying but also just being at home. So yeah.
Any Lewis Hamilton posters?
No, not for me. For me, it's kind of like a fairy tale there. So fairy lights up,
Oh, good.
flowers, yeah, some fresh flowers, some artificial ones, family pictures, and I also brought some prayer items from home.
Mm.
So I set it up nicely so that I could also pray. Because I'm also from a Hindu background, so I can pray there, and I also make sure my place is also like a home, so I don't feel too much of homesick. Yep. So I've got up pictures, comfy bed, big thick bed sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah. thick duets, and of course, I think let me just count how many plushies I've brought. I think around
You want me
6 to 10, I guess.
6 to 10?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's plenty. Okay, just so you know, that's plenty, even if you are buying 8 suitcases. Someone said that I lost my pen. Hang on. The pen's back in the room. That derailed me there. I was going to ask you a personal question. What's your favourite flower?
Lavender. and
Lavender.
roses.
Lavender's
Yeah.
a good one.
I
Anthony?
don't have one. I'm gonna go with something basic. Let's say roses.
Roses? No,
yeah.
that's kind of nice. I like
Mhm.
roses.
It's a bit basic, though, isn't it? But-
Yeah, it is quite basic. But
If I
that's all right.
choose roses, then I would choose a particular white or a slight pinky shade. I don't like any other shades.
Go away from
yeah.
the red roses.
Yeah,
they are
true,
basic.
true.
They are basic,
I don't like the
you
red
know it.
roses.
Yeah, good. So what about when you're meeting people then? You're meeting your fellow peers. Was there any sort of conversation? I feel like, we have a stereotype in the UK of being, we're very polite and we're proper and we sort of,
Yeah.
dance around difficult subjects and things like that. Was there anything that you noticed immediately and you thought, oh my God, these people are, I don't know, in a good way or a bad way? Was there anything that surprised you about the people? Could be good or bad.
I would say yes and no. I think some people were there's obviously a stereotype that people aren't as welcoming or as friendly, but I honestly found that they were quite welcoming and friendly. On difficult topics, I think it's interesting. Some people were just a bit more open. I think from my background, discussing, for example, like how much is your rent per week and stuff like
Yeah.
that was like interesting because back home that's kind of topic we kind of shy away from. So topics around, I think, like your finances, from my experience, are a lot more open. Whereas from my background, it's a lot, you don't want to talk about your rent, your salary, how much you make, stuff like that. It's a bit of not a taboo, but it's one of those things you keep personal, which was a culture shock. Because I found it more and more as I've lived here over the past year that a lot of people are more open about talking about their money, their financial challenges, and giving exact amounts. Whereas, I think in South African, I think most, African backgrounds, we kind of keep those things private because you don't want to be seen as kind of showing off or kind of looking down on people. So that was a bit of a culture shock. Yeah.
So how much is your rent? Sasha, what about you?
For me, I was like, because I'm kind of an introverted person, so when I first met people, I was like, wow, they're quite of a chatterbox. I was like,
Sorry about that. I can't help it, okay? I just like to talk.
not telling it's wrong. It's like, wow, they really do talk a lot. I should learn from that. I should like talk more as well. I should like get involved. But along these years, yeah, I've also improved and adapted to that situation. I've learned to talk more, be more open, and sometimes even from back home, topics that can be of a taboo, like mental health issues, it's not really talked about. So people don't share about it, or they think like going to a psychiatrist is like bad. But here, like the people do care about your mental health. They make sure you got support for it, and mostly they just care and make sure you are supported.
How do you go about navigating those challenges then? So that those things that you weren't expecting. Is it a case of just throw yourself in and give it a go and see what sort of what comes off, Sasha, and what doesn't? For example, you mentioned there that you didn't before you were quite introverted, and suddenly you've got all these loud people who are maybe in environments that they're much more used to being in. For you, did you just have to think, right, this is it, I'm going to throw myself into this and see how it goes?
For me, it's most I think like I would say I got like some help from them, so they'll kind of like prompt me. Oh, so where are you from? What are you doing? So as I get along with the chat, I felt more eased up. I felt more eased in talking with them. I felt more like, oh, okay, it's not too bad actually talking to them. They're not gonna judge me in anything, or like they're not gonna say anything wrong. So not of like throwing myself in. I was like quite going with the flow and like settling in slowly.
How did you find making pals, honestly?
I thought it was quite easy actually. Especially during freshers, it was the perfect time to go out, meet people, join societies, join clubs, go to their events. So I joined a few. I think most universities will have, sports societies, cultural societies, so whatever kind of speaks out to you. Do find people with kind of a similar outlook on life. I think that's quite important because it will really help university experience. So it was quite nice finding people who really understand me and who are on the same page. So, yeah.
Now, both of you studying quite diverse areas of the UK at Keele and at University of Surrey. I want to talk food. It's one of our favourite topics is food. How did you find and how do you find that? Because I feel like one of the things that a lot of people say when they do come to the UK from elsewhere is they say you Your food's a bit rubbish. It's a bit naff. I don't know. What are our thoughts on UK food and the availability of it? Sasha, go on. You
Mhm.
go first.
For me, I think like from where from Kiel, it's like there's like quite a lot of like takeaways that I can get from these shops around.
Yeah.
So there's like Middle Eastern food, there's Indian, there's Thai, there's Chinese. So there is availability of food. You just gotta get them so you don't really feel of like you're missing home or anything. In terms of UK food, my first time trying UK food was during a festive dinner. So I had like pigs in blanket and also some roast dinner. So I really loved it.
Hang on. So this is around the Christmas period.
Yeah, yeah.
And were you cooking it, or were you going? You attending?
No, I was
someone?
just like turning up. So we had this so English society and also like a English course that I did. So they had this festive dinner, and I was like, oh, okay, it's my first time having like proper UK food and also festive food. So pigs in blanket, roast.
Did you like your
and-
pigs in blankets?
It's average.
They're one of our favourite.
Yeah, I
for
loved
anyone
it.
it's a sausage wrapped in bacon. It's just it's unbelievably salty, but very, very nice.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I did loved it, and like roasted potatoes. I was like, it's just potatoes, but I really loved it. I was like, okay, this is gonna be my new favorite food for festive dinners then.
So, what is your favourite part of a roast dinner? Crucially, just before we move on, what's your favourite
Mhm.
ingredient, your component? Is it the potatoes? Is it
Mhm.
the cauliflower cheese? Is it the
Mhm.
pigs in blankets? What are we going for?
I think pigs in blankets
in
and for the win and
Yeah.
roasted potatoes.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, NSU?
Favorite parts of a
Yeah, favorite
Yeah.
part of roast dinner. Now we're into the roast dinner chicken. We can't exit
I'm
that.
gonna have
early.
to agree. I think pigs in blankets
Pigs in
quite.
blankets, yeah.
I do also really appreciate if we do have some chicken at the roast. That's always good.
Okay.
So
Is
yeah.
this the South, not stereotype? Is this the South African lover of like you love a bride? Don't you,
Absolutely.
of course. You're very
Yeah.
into your chicken and meat and stuff.
Yeah, definitely chicken, beef, lamb, whatever it is. A lot of it.
So
I
how was that?
always
Was
appreciate
that sort of easy enough to find and source? And do you think we do food okay?
Generally speaking, I think as she mentioned, there's a lot of takeaways available. The
Yeah.
issue comes down to the groceries. When you go grocery shopping. So going on to the points about like, in South Africa we have a braai, which is essentially a barbecue. Looking for like that quality of meat is just not the same, in my
Right.
opinion. It truly isn't. There are a few butchers you can find, but it's really, really hard to find. So I actually typically don't really do any barbecues when I'm in the UK. Just wait till I go home.
I'll have you around for a barbecue. I'd love to
Please
do that.
do.
Yeah, it'd be
Please
fun.
do.
So your advice would be find because obviously we've got the big supermarkets. You'd say maybe find the butchers or something
Exactly.
like that. They do the
They
better
have
meat.
that like really organic, it's hard to explain, but
Lucky
really
for you, this podcast is not sponsored by a supermarket.
it's hard to explain, but there really is something about like the quality of like the organic foods, not just the meat as well, but everything is just. I could actually taste it. Okay, this is not the same as back home. So cooking the exact same meals didn't taste the same. The spices, everything it was quite different.
You're quite passionate
Um,
about that, don't you?
Yeah, I
I
do.
can see it in your eyes. There's something going on. You're getting quite into it.
Yeah.
I like it. Nice. What would what's the one thing that you think is maybe you think's really overrated in the UK? Was there something that you came over and you thought, why on earth do they do that thing? Like why do they like that thing? I mean, it might have been a roast. It sounds like you both like roast dinners, but is there anything that over here we're sort of obsessed with and you think, why?
I would say the pub culture. Don't get me wrong, I
Okay.
do love a good pub,
Uh-huh.
going to the pub, but I just think there's too many pubs per capita. there's so
So
many.
your issue is they're too available.
Yes, exactly. There's so many pubs everywhere, and everyone's just talking about going to the pub all the time. I think
Yeah.
it's again, as someone who does enjoy going to the pub, I just don't understand why there's so many.
There's so many more options, right? So there are, you do not have to. I know what you mean. There can be a stereotype of that's just where you socialize, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
definitely not in
yeah.
today's world. There are loads of places. Would you
Mm.
go along with that, Sasha?
Yeah, true. It's the pop culture for me as well.
Mm.
But first I thought that pop culture you have to like drink and go. So that's pub, right? So, but then I got to know like pub for them is to socialize as well, to play games, to like have some quizzes, just to socialize, talk with them as well. So it's kind of like how we go to cafes and like have a meet. They go to pubs and have a meet. So that's how I got to understand that pop culture is not just for drinking, but also to socialize with your friends as well. So, yeah, that's
It's
for me.
such a good
Mhm.
point, isn't it? Because there are so many. If if you are coming to the UK, there are so many people that will not drink in pubs. You do not need to
Yeah.
drink
Yeah.
alcohol to be in a pub. And also things like you mentioned there, like a pub quiz. Do we love a pub quiz?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Yes.
your eyes look like you
Yes.
love a pub quiz.
I
Are you good
do,
at them?
I do.
bet you are.
Um,
You're
I'm-
both going to be. You're
I
smart.
think I'm okay. I just honestly just love the ambience, being around people, answering questions. Some people give some really interesting answers as well to the questions.
You're judging them for their answers. I know you are. I know you are. You're judging people like me for giving silly answers. What is your best topic? Where do you come alive in the pub quiz?
I think, generally speaking, anything general knowledge.
You can't say
so-
anything general. What's your like specific topic?
Okay, I'll go geography for sure. Yeah, geography. I think I do know quite a few countries around the world, so yeah.
It's a bit of a show off, isn't it? I don't know about you. It's a bit of a show off vibes. What about you, Sasha? What would you go for?
I think it was the festive ones, so like Christmas and also history about Christmas. And I think
The
like
history of Christmas.
yeah, and there was like one of the quiz I remember we had to count how many light bulbs or like there was in a jar, and some of them was like 500,000, and then another one was like 25.
What pub quiz are you going to? I've never heard of anything like that. Sure, okay. All right, there's a mixture of things there. We've got geography
Yeah.
or light bulbs in a thing. Right, good stuff. Just to sort of finish ourselves off, what's the best thing about UK culture? I'll just put you on the spot.
This is gonna sound very basic, but I really do think it's the multiculturalism. I think there's such a diverse, bunch of people from all over the world, especially in like the big cities. So, for example, in like London, Manchester, Birmingham,
Mhm.
I've found that like it's so easy to find people like yourself. It's so easy to find places where you can find stuff from all over. And I think because the UK has become such a prominent country in terms of like its position around the world, you have people from all over. So not only like because of historical reasons, but you also find that people come here to find opportunities. And so you always find someone who has a similar story to you, someone who like came here for the exact same reasons and who's just looking for a way to kind of improve their life in that sense. So yeah.
That's a lovely answer. I
Yeah.
like that. Very
Yeah.
wholesome. From you there. So what about you, Sasha?
I think for me is that I like how they teach us independence. So like from back home, everything was more of like quite structured, and we had like guidance always there. So when it's my first time here in UK, everything was more of like a critical thinking versus memorizing. So we had to put in our own initiative. We have to think for ourselves, making sure that we're able to do things on ourselves, being independent. Guidance is always there, support is there. I like how people support us, but also teach us how to be independent. So that's a cultural thing that I'm really grateful for. So going from that time, like a few years back when I first came here, and now I've seen a lot of difference in myself, like growing as a person as well. So I've like developed a lot of skills in like just as simple as talking.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of changes.
That's lovely. It
Mhm.
sounds like you're really happy and enjoying
Yeah,
it, which
yeah.
is really, really, really nice. Just to finish off, if there was one thing that you were going to say to a younger you before you came to the UK about settling in, about the culture, what's that one thing that you'd maybe wish you'd known, or that advice that you'd give to young people thinking of studying in the UK?
I'll say explore. Obviously travel isn't cheap and the train tickets can be a bit expensive, but do take some time to travel around, especially around the English countryside. It's gorgeous. A lot of people have the kind of stereotype that, it's dull, it's grey, but if you just travel and take
It
some
might be
time to
grey
kind of-
overhead, but if you just don't look up at the sky.
Precisely. And I think if you just look around, there's honestly a lot of one of the underrated parts of the UK is actually just like the countryside. I think if you really take some time, just go out and just, whatever it is you want to do, you can go to like some of the wine estates, you can go just for like natural hills, whatever it is, hiking trails, explore. It's quite peaceful, it's quite nice. Yeah.
Sasha?
For me, I think is that don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. So even though from any background you are, like how are you as a person, don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and go into something totally new. You will never know what awaits you. So what are the opportunities that you have? So the world is big. Go and explore as well. Get to know the best of both worlds, the cities, the countryside. Explore, make more memories that you can tell your grandchildren later in life. And of course, explore and be open-minded. I would say be open-minded to anything that's thrown at you. See it in a different perspective and just take it up as a lesson instead of like putting yourself down or anything.
It's Very
Mhm.
wholesome stuff, guys. I like that.
Thank
it's,
you.
it's a nice way to end the podcast. It
Thank
really
you.
is. My
Thank you.
heart feels full, and I feel like we should now.
Aw.
I feel like we should now just go and pick some flowers together.
Sounds good. I think
What are we
that's
doing?
really
The rose?
good.
Should we do, I quite like the rose idea.
Go.
Yeah, yeah.
If we can find some peonies, that'd be nice.
Some peonies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't throw that one in there at the end. Little curveball from you, Anisu. I like that very much. We'll do our best for you. Don't you
Sounds
worry.
good.
Good stuff. Listen, anything else that you want to find out, of course, all resources available for anything that we've discussed via ucas.com/international. Big thank you to my two guests, to Sesha and to Anisu as well. We'll speak soon. You can, of course, like and subscribe on YouTube or listen to this podcast via audio only, wherever you get your podcasts. But until next time, we'll see you soon.